Xiaomi just announced the Redmi K20, which is a phone that comes in both a Snapdragon 730 variant and a Snapdragon 855 variant. And it's a phone that I think is a really compelling piece of hardware. Today we're diving into some of the specs, what I think about them, and who is this device really for. Hey, my name is Mitchell. If you're new to my channel, I make videos about the tech I use. Before I start talking about this, I want to thank everyone that uses my affiliate links. Genuinely, without your support, I couldn't be doing YouTube at the same capacity I'm doing it right now. Also, I'd like to shout out everyone in my Telegram community. You guys do a great job at bringing things to my attention, asking me questions, and giving me ideas for videos. Also, a lot of my audience that doesn't speak English as well has been asking, where can I read some stuff about these videos to answer questions? And I'm now posting articles regularly on my website and link to that in the description. Enough talking and let's just hop into this. Now, these specs come from a couple different sources, including Boy Genius Reports, as well as XDA developers. But just to give you guys a rundown of what we're looking at, on the K20 Pro, we're looking at a Snapdragon 855. And on the regular K20, we are looking at a Snapdragon 730. Now, honestly, I think for most people, the Snapdragon 730 device is going to be the better device. It's going to be less power hungry, and it's going to get more battery life out of that 4,000 milliamp hour battery that both of these devices are going to have. Other than the difference in processor, it has a different IMX 582 camera on the back as opposed to the 586 camera that's going to be on the K20 Pro. I don't think that we're going to be seeing much difference in performance for most people between the chipsets. It's not going to be until we get into gaming or more processor, like really intensive stuff, that we're going to see a difference. Whereas most people would be able to appreciate the significant or the tangible increase you'll get from the lowered powered chipset. We are looking at a graphene or some type of heat dissipation, it's a graphite heat dissipation layer on the K20 Pro, which is going to do a better job at cooling the CPU. And to talk about CPU cooling for a second, it's going to be, according to Boy Genius Reports, a glass on metal unibody design. Now, if you guys have watched my other videos about the Poco F1 and fast charging using the 27-watt fast charger, link to that up here, you would see that heat and heat dissipation is a key, it's a key limiting factor towards battery charging on the Poco F1. And having that metal unibody will actually do a lot to dissipate the heat better. Now, on the subject of battery, another difference between the K20 and the K20 Pro is that on the K20 Pro, we are going to have the same 27-watt turbo fast charging that we have on the Xiaomi Mi 9, which if you guys have seen any of my videos about the Xiaomi Mi 9, I'll go ahead and put a link to it up in this card right now. And the 27-watt charger is extremely fast. It gets the 3,300 milliamp hour battery on my girlfriend's Mi 9 from 0 to fully charged in almost exactly an hour. To achieve that, they do have to do a little bit different of construction with the batteries. So the fact that the regular K20 is going to be limited to 18 watts, I don't see that being that big of a downgrade, especially because the Snapdragon 730 should get a tangibly better, I should say, battery life. So on one hand, you're going to get better battery life, and on the other hand, you're going to get faster charging. So I really think that the K20 might be for like more the power business social media user that wants to have the highest amount of screen on time possible. And talking about the screens, both the K20 and the K20 Pro have a 6.39 inch Super AMOLED display with an in-display fingerprint scanner. Now, whether or not these displays are manufactured by Samsung, the same way Xiaomi boasted about the Samsung-made display on the Mi 9 has yet to be seen, but both displays do go up to 600 nits of brightness, and they feature the DC dimming option, which allows for a better experience when you're using the phone in really, really low light. Talking about this, both devices are going to sport an in-display fingerprint scanner. Now, I'm not sure if this is necessarily a newer iteration of the in-display fingerprint scanner than what we currently have on the Mi 9. As it is, the fingerprint scanner in the Mi 9 is pretty quick. Whether or not it's going to be faster than that has yet to be seen, but it's certainly not going to be any slower than it is on the Mi 9. Now, on the subject of the Mi 9, again, there's a lot of components that these two devices share. The K20 is going to sport a similar camera setup. It's going to have the 48 megapixel Sony IMX586. It is going to support a 1/4 inch 8 megapixel telephoto sensor with an f2.4 aperture and a 1 3/4 inch 13 megapixel wide angle lens with a 127 degree field of view and an f2.4 aperture. Now, 127 degree field of view is really wide. It's similar in width to that of like a GoPro set on the medium setting. So being able to get really, really wide angle shots is something that I personally like. Now, on the K20 Non-Pro, it is going to have a different like main sensor, but I'm not sure if these sensors are going to be the same as what we have currently on the Mi 9. We're going to have to wait for teardowns or more in-depth specifications regarding that. The K20 Pro is going to have a 6 or an 8 gigabyte of RAM version, whereas the normal K20 will have only a 6 gigabyte of RAM. They will come in 64, 128, and 256 gigabytes for the Pro, and only 64 and 128 gigabytes for the Non-Pro. Now, on both of these devices, it's going to be supplemented by a micro SD expansion slot or a hybrid slot, which is awesome to see. Really, the big kind of star of the show here, though, is the pop-up camera. And the pop-up camera is going to be, it looks like a 20 megapixel pop-up camera for both the devices. This 20 megapixel pop-up camera is essentially the same camera that we have in the Poco F1 and the Xiaomi Mi 9. I believe it's manufactured by Sony, but don't quote me on who has manufactured it. And most importantly, let's talk about the price. Now, these prices right now are for the Chinese market specifically, but we're looking at a $360 starting price for the K20 Pro, whereas the K20 is going to start at $290. Now, it's not starting as cheap as the Poco F1. There's no way to get around that. I think one of the interesting things is going to be comparing the Snapdragon 845 to the Snapdragon 730. Because if we're getting similar performance on the Snapdragon 730 as we are to a Snapdragon 845 CPU, then I think that the increase in price for the K20 Pro model really might be justified, right? Because if we are getting the same or almost identical performance out of the Snapdragon 730, same price as the old Poco F1, who is this device for? Well, I really think that the K20 Pro is going to be great for gamers, right? The full display means that you're not going to have to deal with notches or cutouts when playing games like PUBG, whereas the K20 Non-Pro variant might be more for like the all-day business user, especially if the Snapdragon 730 is going to be getting us better battery life than the 855. Being able to charge your device like every other day as opposed to a once-a-day device would be a tangible upgrade for me. And I think that for a lot of people that aren't able to afford the Snapdragon 855, the Snapdragon 730 is going to be a beast. The Snapdragon 700 series of CPUs hasn't been that popular, just kind of because they're more expensive than the Snapdragon 600 series CPUs for manufacturers to buy. And on top of that, the performance coming out of them is not flagship, but it's so close to flagship, or especially like last generation's flagship, that it's hard for companies to justify that. If you guys want to see more videos about the Xiaomi Mi 9, you should go ahead and click or tap right over here. If you guys want to see some videos about accessories like the Redmi AirDots or the Xiaomi AirDots, go ahead and click or tap right up over here. Now, till next time, guys, it's been Mitchell, and I'll see you again.